Hi guys, okay. I have come out to the shooting range today to ask the question, will these hollow points function in a percussion revolver and expand and therefore be viable as a hunting round in the revolver? That's the question. Let's get started. Hi guys, okay. We got those hollow point conicals that we're going to see that they're manufactured to go into an air gun. The size and the weight, 454, 200 grains, is correct to fit into a cap and ball revolver. Now the performance of that air gun is comparable to the performance of a cap and ball revolver. And so the question remains is, if these will expand at air gun velocity, will they expand at percussion revolver velocity and therefore be a viable hunting round? So that's the whole real question about these. So what I did was I loaded it, and I'll show you talk about the loading in a minute. I already got them loaded. And they were a booger to load. In fact, just hold on, I'll show you right quick, be done with it. I use this contraption. That's actually the barrel off of an 1860 that got damaged, split barrel back in the 70s when I got it. A friend of mine had it, and he had a squib load, and the ball lodged at the end of the barrel, and he fired again, it split the end of the barrel. I bought the gun off of him for parts, and I cut the barrel down and made this as a loading for loading black powder cartridges, but I use this to load the cylinder off the gun. So what I did was, one, the bases of these bullets are not rebated, so they're full bore. The chamfer going around the mouth of my chamber, I can just line it up there. So I began by putting it up there and taking a hammer and just lightly tapping it with a soft rubber face hammer to get it kind of start, and then I put it under there and I rammed it. Even then it wanted to go crossways. So it is not easy at all to load. To make this something I could carry in the field and load, we'd have to probably modify it. I'd have to probably find some way to turn the base down to make it sit in the chambers. You cannot load the cylinder on the gun because there's not enough room to go up underneath the loading bay, blah blah blah. So before I do any kind of modification to a gun or whatever, the only question that matters is, will this gun, will these hollow points expand? If they do not expand, then there's no advantage over a standard conical that I've already got, which will load in the gun. So therefore, I am going to do a test. And the simple test is I'm taking paper, and this is copy paper that was from a company that's now gone out of business, but they were making manuals, tech manuals for equipment, for industrial stuff. And I have saturated it in water. Now I'm draining the excess water out, folding it over, and I should have 4 or 5 inches thick paper when I get done, wet paper. Yes, I know people are going to say, well, Blackie, you should be using a ballistic gelatin. If you want to donate $300 worth of ballistic gelatin to me for me to shoot, I'll be happy to do it. But I don't have the kind of money where I can afford to go buy $300 worth of ballistic gelatin just to prove a point. So it's years ago, before ballistic gelatin became so common, gun writers and stuff would use wet newspaper in this way to give an idea of expansion. It was not a perfect idea, and there is no perfect medium. It shows real performance of a cartridge. Even the gel torsos that are god ridiculous, the military uses to test rounds and things, because of what you're shooting is not made up of one thing. There's different densities, bone, tissues, muscle, soft internal organs, blah, blah, blah. So it's just to get an idea of, will it expand? And so by saturating this paper and stacking it up, we're going to find out if it'll expand. It at least should give me a good idea. There. That ought to be thick enough, and it's still sopping wet, so there's a lot of water there too. So we're going to shoot it with two different guns. Same load, 30 grains in both of them. How did I determine 30 grains to shoot in it? Well, this is supposed to be a hunting load, right? So it's supposed to be kind of heavy, and that's my heavy hunting load anyway for a conical. But let me walk you through the process of what I did. I took a powder measure, and starting with an empty chamber, I filled up the powder measure and poured it in, and by adjusting the powder measure, I found out that the total powder capacity of my chamber was 50 grains. Now that's without a ball. That's filling the chamber to the top. Okay? So that gave me a volume. Okay? So now I use my powder measure, and I set the conical up on the base of the powder measure that goes from 0, 10, 20, and it measured 20 in height, looking across the top of it. You know, like you'd put a kid up to a door jamb and put a mark. Well, doing that. And that told me that that conical takes up roughly 20 grains. So 20 minus 50 left me 30. Okay. So I loaded 30 grains. I put not a felt wad, but I put a cardboard wad, wax cardboard, down between each one of them. And I'm simply punching these out of soda can boxes, you know, soda boxes, because it's wax cardboard, and putting it down between it and the powder. Then I did the loading process, and it is a booger to load them. I'm just going to be straight up with you, because out that bevel base of any kind, they want to go sideways, they want to whatever. So I would have to do a lot more work to find a way to load them straight and true every time, and I want to be able to do it in the field. But all of this comes down to one question: will it expand? If it doesn't expand, it has no advantage over my Kato Jama conicals or of my Era's Gone molds. So therefore it's not worth my time. This is just an experiment. So let me run these downrange. I'll put my ears on and we'll go down there and we'll shoot and we'll answer the question. Okay. We have my 58 Sheriff model with 30 grains, and we have the 1860 Army loaded with 30 grains. We're going to take the 58 Remington first, and we're going to shoot it. That's for to see if the short barrel can do it. Then we're going to shoot it with this to see if the long barrel can do it. 2 shots to tell us, and then I'll fire the remaining rounds at a fixed point to see how accurate it is, just if it's in the ballpark. Okay? Remington. We got a 1 in a million, guys. A cap jam on a Remington. That cap came all the way back and wedged into the opening right there. See it? Cap jam on a Remington. Full length barrel on a Colt, same load. That was me. Alright, that second shot was because of me. I'm sweating like a pig out here, guys, and when I went to pull the trigger, the gun slipped in my hand, and I shot just a grunt low, so I fired a second round up high. Now let's see what it did. Okay, here's where the Remington hit, here's where the Colt hit. Good sized chamber. It went all the way through. Nope. Nope. It went through 6 inches and they both stopped at the bottom. And guess what? Neither one of them have expanded. Now look at that. Good rifling mark. The end plugged up. That should have helped force it open. This is a no, guys. There is no expansion. They did not expand. Well, that was a disappointment, wasn't it? They show good rifling marks, so they did engage well. I can still see traces of lubricant on it, but there is no expansion. Now, yeah, it's flattened a little bit, but loading does that. And a standard conical, whenever you fire it into a medium, it will flatten out a little bit too. A round ball will flatten out a little bit too. So you could call that expansion, but this is the one out of the Remington. This is the one out of the Colt. As you can see, there is no expansion. They're the same size, same everything, even though I know they were two different guns they were fired in. If anything, the hollow point in that one opened up a little bit. You can see a slight difference in the size of the hollow points, and that's just the wet paper meshing in there. So, will Air Venturi 45 200 grain 4.54 Conicals expand in cabin ball revolvers? No. Of course, they're going to be that. Well, Blackie, if you use triple, if you have to up the horsepower to make it expand, all you're doing is putting stress on your gun. It's too much effort because I'd have to radically modify the gun. Could it do it in possibly a Ruger Old Army or a Walker? Possible. But again, you'd have to take the gun apart and load it. And if it had showed some expansion, you know, we're about 10 feet off the muzzle. That would be an ideal shot for shooting a hog, you know, that's been bayed by dogs. And I'm going to walk up like 10, 15 yards at the most from it. 10 yards usually. And going to place my bullet exactly where I want to do it for hunting. I've taken them many times with plain old round ball because I place the ball well and know where to hit, do the maximum amount of damage, and therefore humanely harvest the animal. But this conical does not expand. So we're right back to it's just a conical. And I've already got good conicals for that. So, sorry if it disappointed you guys. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping, hey. But down the line, somebody, somewhere, is going to figure out some way to make a hollow point in a cabin ball revolver expand reliably. Maybe I'll live to see it. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. And thank you very much for supporting my channel. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.